Hi there VC, Mick back here, this time with the 2026 non-official vinyl tag. Now, interesting, Midlife Crisis Rants, which is a punk channel, has the official one. Guess the world's changing, but thanks to David Atkinson for getting this underway. Okay, let's start off. First question, show us your best purchase for this year. Bit of an obscure one, Australian Private Press album by Lindsay Blue, who is also known as Lindsay Burge and plays in Tum and Should. This is a edition of 200 copies released in 1975. Pastoral electronics. It's got cymbals, quasar, electric organ, frogs, Canberra, Carillion, kookaburras. You've got it. It's experimental synth. Something visionary for 1971 Australia. And just because it is a sub record, there is the custom label. Okay, next up, my favourite live experience. Okay, this year I ventured down to Sydney for a couple of days and got to see these guys live. Now, I would say at best I am a casual fan of Oasis, but I do like their swagger, and what I learned from seeing them live was they did have a cultural connection, particularly to people from the UK. This is a first pressing. There's a place in Berwick Street. There's the back cover, and it came in plain back sleeves. Anyway, the concert was fantastic. I caught up with a heap of old friends, a couple of days. Took a nice cruise up the Parramatta River, so via Sydney Harbour. Always a great place to visit, the Emerald City. Okay, you're moving to a new place, and what's the first record you'll play? Well, if it was me, it would be the last one I bought, and the last record I bought for 2025, so this would be me moving into my new place, is Mutant by Guedra Guedra, a Moroccan electronic producer. This is a bit like Muslim Gauze, but a more commercial side. A lot of African Islamic voices being played. Incidentally, if it was a second-hand record, would have been this guy, Jabraith, and that one's on the Barclay label. Next up, your favourite male and female artists. Well, I had to go with PJ Harvey. From a female artist point of view, I definitely have more PJ Harvey albums than any other female artist. This album is Rid of Me, which came out in 1992. Features the track 50 Foot Queenie. I did get to see PJ Harvey a couple of times, but this album also was produced by Steve Albini, and it's on the other label. Okay, so favourite male singer. Well, I didn't go this time for volume. I actually went for favourite male voice, and this time I've chosen Scott Walker, and I decided to go with Scott 3. 4 classic albums from Scott in the late 60s, continued on with a great album called Night Flight, and captured more hearts even in the new century with his album Drift. Scott Walker, a golden voice, and I must say I do find myself singing It's Raining Today or Copenhagen in times when it's raining, and that one's on the always great Philips label. Okay. The VC is all about fun, and we do like to have fun. So let's go with some Rare Groove. And here we have Open Soul. And this is a funky Rare Groove, and I would like to ideally play the whole 20-minute version of the song Open Soul. This is on a small label, and certainly one of those key Rare Groove tracks that everybody wants. Okay, I do move to the 80s, and I couldn't think of anything better than some Chicago House, and this time Future with Acid Tracks. This is the beginning of 303 Mania, and importantly, electronic and dance music in particular as an art. Produced and mixed by Marshall Jefferson, and the fun doesn't have to be all retro. Let's look at FKA Twigs and her You Sexy album. This is soulful dance, and certainly a super modern production. There's Twigs doing the stuff on the back there. So I guess the challenge is, if you want to dance like Twigs, let's play Twister. Let's play this. Okay, an album where I don't like a song, a real stinker. Okay, it's the Dictators' Go Girl Crazy. And we have Handsome Dick Manitoba. We have Ross the Boss Funicello. But what we really have is, that I don't like, is, you've guessed it, well, maybe you didn't guess it, a cover of I Got You Babe. I'm afraid the Sonny and Cher original didn't tantalise me, and the UB40 Chrissy Hine one absolutely kills me. And on this fun punk and roll album, has great songs like I Live for Cars and Girls and Teen Generate, which the Japanese punk band commandeered for a name. I Got You Babe, I just can't do. Okay, next one. Try to pick an album from the last 6 decades. Look, I've gone 7 because I reckon there's a heap of great music that came out in the 50s. So from the 50s, 1959, Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. This is modal jazz. This changes everything. This is pre-Beatles. This is when jazz became aligned, I guess, with more classical forms of music. And of course, on the always great Columbia label. Okay, so for 60s, how could I go past Andy Warhol by the Velvet Underground and Nico? Or is it called Andy Warhol? Or is it just the Velvet Underground and Nico? Anywho, this is the version with the torso cover. This launches a couple of thousand acts that I would love, inspires myself, and an album that on the original Verve label looked to the future in the late 60s. Okay, now for the 70s, we just make it into the 70s, and we just make it into 1979, and this is with Pills Metal Box, a triple 12-inch in its initial form, which is dubbed out punk. This album helped me understand dub, and certainly was groundbreaking for the 70s. Now for the 80s, and here we go with 1984, and this one's Hooskadoo and Zen Arcade. This album I initially heard in about 1986 in Rockhampton, and certainly blew my mind. This would go on to influence the next 40 years and continues to do of punk, indie, post-rock, post-everything, punkish rock bands, and on the always great SST label. Okay, 1990s. Okay, I could have went a million albums for this one, but I decided to go Wu-Tang Clan, Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers. When this album came out in 93, we had heard Public Enemy, and we thought these guys were something along the same way. They were a whole other mechanism. We have Bring the Ruckus and CREAM as some classic tracks there, and this is the Vinyl Me Please version. But what we didn't know the Wu-Tang were going to do, and we only realised it later, is they were going to produce a couple more great albums from the 90s. So here above me we have Ghostface Killer, Bobby Digital, Genius Geezer GZA, Method Man with Tyson, and Rakim. No other band hit so hard in the 90s. I will say they continue to sort of do so as well. Not only are these people still making music, but you have Inspector Deck who's helping out Czarface from time to time. Okay, let's move to the 2000s. And here we have Burial with Burial on the Hyperdub label. This redefined dance music, and this, along with their next album, Untrue, redefined mainstream pop, influencing artists such as Drake going forward till today. I think this has got it a little bit over Untrue on the basis that these tracks were produced between 2001 and 2006. So they sort of embrace the majority of the 2000s, but also they're a little bit more wild and raw. And I think that does reflect what the 2000s were. There's always the always great Hyperdub label. So hard for the 2010s. 2010s, I can't go past this. Today, I've tried not to show a lot of records that I have shown before. This one I'm sure I would have. And for my 2010 selection, it is To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. It integrates jazz, funk, soul, and all the modern beats, and shows the way for the world on the way forward. Okay, we just need to talk about record collections here, and the second question was, in fact, how do you see your record collection playing out over the next while? Well, the way I see it is I probably buy about 100 new albums a year. I probably sell or repurpose 20 or 30 albums. So looking at that sort of methodology definitely will increase. And probably at the rate of 70 or so a year, given presents and other things that get in the way, like holidays. So plenty of room where I am. So yeah, just another couple of IKEA cubes in the garage. Okay, things now take a bit of a serious turn. You get the opportunity to spend a day alone with one artist. So for me, I'd like that to be Nick Cave. And what would I like to do with Nick Cave? I'd like to go to the cricket with Nick. So 2 Australians having a bit of fun at the cricket. Questions I'd ask Nick: do you want a beer? Is he a wine guy, Nick, or is he a beer guy, or is he going to be trying to get into the spirits? Another question I'd ask him is about the cricketing term, a seed. And a seed in cricket means a really good ball, an unplayable ball, sort of like winning an Employee of the Month award. Now, that cricketing term also has, when you don't bowl a good ball, a bad seed. So it made me thinking, the slang for a bad seed is a Nick Cave. But is Nick Cave a bad seed, or is he separate to the bad seeds? Things I ponder. I'd want to catch up on a heap of gossip on old girlfriends, him attending the coronation. Yeah, just a general good day out with hopefully a mate and enjoying some cricket. Okay. Show a record that always brings a tear to the eye and a track. Well, not so much this album, but there's a track on this record which is a cover of the Charlie Feathers song, It's Just That Song. And the song is a country song that reflects somebody sitting alone in a tavern, and he hears voices, soft and low, and then someone drops a quarter in the jukebox and he's reminded of some old memories. So just made me think that it's always great when you're out and about or you're somewhere and you hear a song, you think, that reminds me of that person. The Cramps do a great version of it, but the Charlie Feathers original's probably the one to get. Okay, next one is show 3 albums from artists you've tried to like, but haven't had much success. So I've sort of played a bit of a different theme on that. And so I'll start off with the first one. This is an artist that I do like, but this is an album I just can't get into. This is Neil Young, and it's Neil Young and the Shocking Pinks, Everybody's Rockin'. It's his rockabilly album. He does Mystery Train on it, Payola Blues. You get the picture. I guess what it made me reflect on was that I actually have a record library now, not a record collection, where just because I'm following the journey of someone, I'll keep an album like this in the collection. Of course, it's not worth too much, and this is a pretty clean copy. So one of those things, I might get 10 or 15 Australian dollars for it. I'd probably just rather keep it. Another thing that's a record that's not so good that I keep is one by these guys. And this is an Australian electro pop album from the late 80s, early 90s scene. And it's just so bad that it's worth having. It's that bad. I can't imagine a record being so bad that I do like to listen to it sometimes. Once again, not worth much, and certainly an act I haven't been able to get into, but on the basis that they're so bad that it's like watching a car crash, so it's kind of good, I guess. And finally, I've never seen the attraction of this guy. I'm sure this is going to get 1,000 Faces fans upset, and Gasoline Alley, and such a classic track for some people. But I've never liked Mr. Stewart. Once again, one of those pickups that was too good a deal to leave behind. And there we go, Vertigo Swirl, for what it's worth, hey? So yeah, certainly no Rod Stewart in my life. Okay, next up, an artist that you try to separate the art from the art, and I've done this quite successfully. And here we have Morrissey with his mid-90s classic Southpaw Grammar. It's on the RCA label. Comes with all the trimmings. It's a great album. Fantastic presentation, especially for the mid-90s. But the dislike of Morrissey, there's all those broader things that are on the internet. But I went and saw him maybe 2 years ago in Brisbane, and believe it or not, he dissed my hometown. Yeah, unbelievably so. He called out Rockhampton and dissed. It was very strange. There was some other people from Rockhampton, and I was like, gee, we knew he was a bit of a prick, but yeah, that was a bit personal. Anyway, I still love the Smiths. I still love Morrissey's music. And I did see what kind of guy he was, because I bumped into him at HMV in Japan, and he was there with a friend, and he was looking through the French prog section, and the next lot of records he went and checked were his own and the Smiths records for what was in stock, I guess. Anyway, good on you, Mozza. I still do love you. Okay, the next one is if you had to sell all your vinyl, what would you keep? And it would be this single where me and my friends, and by my friends I'm talking as a broader group of support people outside in the group, those in the group, but we created a couple of 7-inch singles in the late 80s, early 90s, and supported by an amazing network of friends and a couple of people who were amongst that friendship circle didn't make it. Some of us didn't talk to each other for a while, but a fantastic memory. So I definitely keep that 7-inch no matter what. Okay, next one is discuss my VC highlights of 2025. So my VC highlights of 2025 is when anyone's been kind enough to call out my channel. So that's been Tokyo Brian Embryonic Robot, Ben Rankins, Steve Carlson, and a couple MBF Fidelity, a heap of other people as well. Hey, it's appreciated, guys. Other interests that I enjoy watching are the VC Social Club with Jason Rojas and the gang, and something I watched this morning was Mazzy's 2025's biggest wankers. So yeah, I enjoyed listening to Mazzy go through his list. Some of them are sort of topical, most of them are pretty agreeable. Okay, next one up, why does jazz matter? Now, I'm heavily into jazz. So the 3 reasons jazz matters is that it creates a more democratic environment for musicians instead of the standard hierarchy. It allows for spontaneous improvisation and respects that. And 3, it's the teacher side of funk. This is the Spontaneous Music Ensemble, a favorite album of mine, and this particular album features John Stevens, Evan Parker, Kenny Wheeler, David Bailey, and Dave Holland. Jazz, love it. Name my favorite musical biopic. That would be Control, the Ian Curtis story. Fantastic portrayal. Made me feel like I was there. Okay, now I'm an innocent man and I'm on death row. Does sound worrying, doesn't it? Anyway, to set the scene, I'd probably be insisting on a full Catholic funeral, just from the basis that I'm innocent, and I'd want the guilt to go through. But the record I'd ask to be played would be pagan music from Non. Now, Non is boiled rice with the occasional other person. The other reason why I'd particularly play this album is that even though it is an album, it does come in the form of a 7-inch. Now, there are tracks here that have lock grooves, so they never end, but also, you'll note there's 2 holes. So, good to see a bit of confusion about whoever is on the record player, as this record makes things go a little bit astray. And given that I am innocent, I'm sure everyone would remember me requesting this and getting played for pagan music. Okay, sell your favourite artist. Okay, well, it's a bit of a no-brainer. I have more records by Sun Ra, Orchestra and Associated than by anyone else. This particular one here is a 1970s album, and the key track here is Disco 3000. This track is at the forefront of electronica for the time, and it is Disco 3000. Think the space scene from Star Wars, but much more inventive. Why to like Sun Ra? Well, it's a never-ending quest to get Sun Ra. They are still releasing stuff, the orchestra, today, and I even saw him live earlier this year. Here's their release from 2024. Marshall Allen, still 100 years old, and keep on keeping on. They've also done, I guess, what I'd call a biopic, but Space is the Place is another classic album, and this is them in the 70s, where they're part funk and part spiritual jazz. I think they're one of those acts that I'd have close to 100 different albums of theirs, and I've still got a long way to go. And finally, VC meetup in time for 2026. First thing I'd like to do is meet some of the local VC people here in southeast Queensland, and I'm thinking in particular not so much a channel and Bicycle Legs, who have their own music channels. Furthermore, I probably really need to catch up with someone like Ben Rankins in Melbourne, who we have a similar musical trajectory. So yeah, that would be my key ones within Australia, and I do spend a reasonable amount of time in Japan, so I probably should catch up with Tokyo Brian, or maybe tackle him on the street while he's doing one of his Vox Pops. Okay, that's me done. Hey, thanks everybody for watching, and David Atkinson, appreciate the prompts. Talk soon.